Order the regular council meeting of Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ceresi?
Here.
Mr. Roden?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin?
Here.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Curie?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Fury will lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us tonight. We give thanks to be able to be together. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place and help us to work together as we may always give our best. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have the minutes from the April 11th meeting. Were there any changes or additions, corrections? Anyone? The minutes then will be approved as written. Next, audience participation.
First, we have Elizabeth Dowell.
Elizabeth Dowell on Stanley Lane in Twinsburg, and I'm here tonight to ask the council to reconsider the proposed roundabout on Meadowwood and Ethan's Green. In my opinion, and the opinion of the people who live in Meadowwood and Ethan's Green, it is not good. If we are trying to get out of the roundabout going south, and Meadowwood they're trying, and you've got 4 lanes at rush hour, we would never be able to get out. If it's proposed and goes through, as a resident of 17 years on Ethan's Green, there is no way I can exit without going a roundabout. I witnessed an awful accident 2 weeks ago on the roundabout at Glenwood. My friends in Solon call it Suicide Circle. Big trucks going around, and they would have to go around the one in Meadowwood and Ethan's Green. It's just not conducive to have 2 roundabouts so close together. My proposal would be to reconsider, put in a 4-lane to make the traffic go, and a stoplight with arrows. I think it'd be safer and much better for the residents of Ethan Green and Ethan's Meadowwood. I spoke to Mayor Yates about it. He said that the roundabout, the people of Twinsburg want it. Well, the people that are going to be affected by it in Meadowwood and Ethan's Green, I know it because I've gone around and talked to them, do not want it. And I think it's a safety issue, and so I'd like you to reconsider.
Thank you.
Next, we have Darrell Jones.
I just want to give you a little history of myself first. I was superintendent for Northern Ohio Paving Shelley Company for almost, well, I worked for him for 45 years, superintendent for 40 years. As far as 91 goes, I do not believe in the roundabout. It's costing you a lot more money to make a roundabout than it is a 4-lane highway. Amy mentioned 5 lanes. Well, you don't need 5 lanes. Well, what they did in Solon, when they built Solon, I lived in Solon at the time, there was 4 lanes. They built turn lanes after the state turned it over to them. All they did was narrow the lanes down a little bit, if you notice, when you go through Solon. Put a 4-lane road in. Then narrow the lanes down when you come to the intersection a little bit. Put the stoplights back up. I counted 8 stop signs not working on the roundabout coming here. I think it was 8. I'm not sure. But at Ethan's right now, we have 4 signals, one on each corner. And they're the ones that, the roundabout is not even working yet, as I know, because I see people crossing, pushing the button, and one guy almost got hit. I was the witness to that one. And with my experience, roundabouts cost double what your 4 lanes is going to cost. Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to mention earlier, when you do come up to the microphone, introduce yourself and
I'm sorry.
and say where you live, please. Thanks.
Daryl Jones, staying with me.
Thank you. Next.
Next, we have Daisy Walker.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Maestros, council and staff. Daisy Walker, Chair of Twinsburg Environmental Commission. And I just want to give some shout outs because we had a wonderful Earth Day, and Mr. Roden, he will expand upon that. And a special thank you to Subaru of Bedford for their pet waste bags and bowls. And they had some seed cards that you could just plant in the ground, water them, and then some native plants will be coming up. To Assistant Chief Basso and the Twinsburg Search for showing off the city's upcycle and recycle project and the search response trailer. The Twinsburg Garden Club did a fabulous job with their book and displays of native plants. And Matthew Yates, that's his name?
Andrew.
Andrew.
He's
I
actually-
knew I was going to get it wrong.
He's actually in the
Andrew.
audience. Why don't you raise your hand, Andrew?
I'll wait back. And Andrew Yates and family and their assistants educating the public with the composting demonstration. And if you've never seen one like that, you truly missed it. It was like a work of art. You see, I mean, there was worms eating up the garbage, and there was another compost, and then you had like this barrel that processes all of your waste, and it was just a wonderful and educational display. Twinsburg student activity, they had a water display. Tom Lilly had a rain garden display, and Nora Studer-Riley, she's the Twinsburg High School teacher, she did the face painting, and Metro staff, naturalist, and the park ranger, Mark, that was his name. Just wonderful people. And I would personally like to thank Mayor Yates for supporting, and his assistant, Morgan White. Also, Mr. Maestros for keeping us in line and keeping us legal with things that the Environmental Commission does, because we do need the proper paperwork. I just can't arbitrarily go to a store without proper paperwork. And I thank God for Karen and Mr. Maestros for that. Lynn Muter is such a wonderful, dedicated person that she's like my right hand and my left hand, because without her, you know, she's our go-to for supplies and letterhead and thank you notes and all of that. And Larry Finch for allowing Lynn to be there beside us. Derek Schroeder, he has wonderful ideas, and we would like for him to join us on our next Earth Day adventure, because his ideas are phenomenal. To Chris Campbell and his staff, what Chris Campbell's staff did, they actually cleaned the Metro Parks parking lot. So we wouldn't have to go there and step over the limbs and the rocks, and it was just a wonderful thing. And to my environmental commissioners, my right hand, my left hand, we're just best buddies. And special thank you to Mr. Roden for really supporting us. And also a special thank you to Karen House. I had to pick up some, you know, it was a, like a little thing. I don't want to say it offhand because you may have some in your bag. And I went to the store in Northfield and I didn't have the proper paperwork, so I had to pay taxes on it. I immediately called City Hall, talked to Karen's department, and you know how far it is from Five Below in Macedonia, once you get to the city of Twinsburg, maybe 10 minutes. Do you know Karen had that form ready for me in 10 minutes, that I could go to another store in Aurora and pick that up? I mean, I am so grateful because I didn't have to wait another day and use my own gas and my own time to go and pick that up. So thank you so much, Karen, for doing that for me. And also for Shannon, for her support and her patience, because when she have deadlines, but even though I have deadlines, but I have to make it happen for her to put it on the agenda. So I thank everyone for it. I've passed out the gifts. Those are from our sponsors. And I know most of you couldn't make it, but at least you have some of the giveaways that we gave to all that's here. Seth Roden will be talking about the participation and other things. So I really thank everyone for coming out for our Earth Day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.
Next, we have Dustin Basmagi.
Dusty Basmagi. I live at 9727 Ravenna Road. That's the part of Ravenna Road that's between Route 91 and the bridge over Tinkers Creek where 82 crosses over. It's across from the old post office building that now houses Kathy's Little Angels Daycare. Now, about 5 years ago in December, one of the utilities came down my street and installed new utility poles about 2 feet away from the existing poles. But they didn't move all the wires to the new pole. They left some of the wires attached to the old pole. In 2014, while I was weed whacking the grass around the pole, I noticed that the pole in my yard, the old pole, was no longer embedded in the ground. It was totally rotted away and merely resting on the ground. Fortunately, it was leaning toward the new pole and the remaining wires on the pole held it in place. But I could rock the pole by pushing on it. So I called First Energy. At first, they were reluctant to send out a serviceman because the wires were not on the ground. I told them, I said, well, it's going to be very shortly. Reluctantly, the serviceman came out. He looked at the pole and he said, well, there's nothing to worry about because if the pole falls, it's not going to rip the electricity out of your house, only the cable. The electricity wires go to the business next door. He said he would report it to his supervisor. Apparently he did, because 3 years later, in January of this year, while I was out shoveling the walk, I noticed someone had taken a thick rope and tied the bottom of the old pole to the metal stake in the ground that marks the property line. They had also tied the upper pole of the new pole to the old pole. It only gets better. If nothing had happened, I wouldn't be here right now. Over the time when I called him to this year, the wires kept pulling the pole across the street, which was not in my yard, further and further and further into the road. Finally, one day in March, when I got back to work, the secretary said, Dusty, your street is closed. They have it all barricaded off. So I called the Twinsburg Police Department. The dispatcher told me, since I lived there would be no problem. They would let me go through to my house. When I got to the barricade, there were no policemen. However, there were these people called CERTs. They would not let me go through. I explained to them that the dispatcher told me I would be allowed to go through. They said, no way. I said, if I go down to the other end of my street, I can come in from 82. I won't be anywhere near the pole or the hanging wire. They wouldn't let me go through. Yet they allowed all of the children at the daycare and their parents to walk by the leaning pole to the Walgreens parking lot so they could go home. They also let all the employees that walk at all the businesses on my street leave. I just couldn't get in. Later that evening, I called the dispatcher again, and I asked her to send a policeman to escort me and my truck back to my house. When the officer got to the barricade, the CERTs turned him away. I wonder what would have happened had I called for an ambulance. The next morning, I looked out the window. The barricades were gone. The new pole was lying on the tree lawn waiting to be installed. The leaning pole was pulled partially back into place, but by what I guess is the new industry standard, a long rope, tied to the base of a pole in the Walgreens parking lot. There were orange barrels placed around it and to protect the rope so nobody would park by it. A week later, they picked up the new pole and left with it, which means they have no intention of changing the pole anytime soon. Last week, someone came and removed the orange barrels. Cars are now parking next to the road. Today, both poles continue to lean. An electric wire that crosses over the street is only 14 feet above the road. A large truck could touch the wire, sever it, or yank one or both of the poles down. If this happens again, Ravenna Road would again be barricaded and I would be held hostage by the Certs.
1 minute.
Certainly 7 weeks is more than enough time to have fixed this. It is a danger to anyone who drives or walks under it, and it will again be an inconvenience to the 3 residences and the 5 businesses on the street. I hope somebody in the city can remedy this situation as soon as possible. Now, I'm almost out of time, and I do have a lot more to say about this, but they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I have 7,000 words worth of pictures to pass on. By the way, I love the roundabout.
Next, we have Mark Curtis.
It's a hard act to follow. Good evening. Mark Curtis, Woodchuck Court. Good evening, Council, Mayor, and any administration that's here. I'm actually here to speak on behalf of the Twinsburg City School District. I'm president of the Board of Education. And I want to, mention a couple of things. One, I want to acknowledge our sincere appreciation for the scholarships, the environmental scholarships, to the 2 students, Leah Fletcher and Rick Mansfield. Superintendent actually planned on being here to kind of say some words of appreciation about that, but she's not able to be here because she's going to be in Columbus. The other purpose that I wanted to come and speak about is really just a public announcement to continue to raise awareness that the school district has a ballot, a levy on the ballot for May 2nd. We've been conducting a number of community forums where we've engaged the public and tried to explain to them the district's current financial status as well as the financial landscape statewide. We've been doing a lot of work in the way of trying to engage the public and also make sure that we are working collaboratively in trying to have some influence in what's going on in Columbus. I personally have done a lot of work with going down to Columbus and working with our elected officials in the General Assembly to try and impact legislation that negatively impacts us, as well as the superintendent has gone down to testify a couple of times in ways of trying to impact legislation, both on the accountability side as well as the financial side. Just some general notes. The levy, if passed, it's a 6.9 mil levy, and if it's passed, it would be approximately $5.6 million generated annually. And the primary purpose for the levy is to replace lost revenues as a result of the phase out of the tangible personal property tax, as well as the now known as the commercial activities tax. The remaining balance of that right now as we sit is $4.6 million. So the primary purpose is really to backfill the money that's going to be permanently lost, and I want to make sure that the public is aware of the circumstances. There is information available on our district website. There's frequently asked questions that has also been posted on the district's website for anyone who is interested in learning more about it, as well as some of the questions that have come about through the various forums and so forth. So just wanted to take an opportunity, because this is the last, at least public opportunity to make, aside from the paper and aside from opportunities that we take during school board meetings. So just wanted to take a bit of your time just to make sure that I made that public announcement. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chuck Bonacci.
Good evening, council, mayor, people of power, influence, and authority. I was able to run up here because I've been working out at your fitness center. Several months ago, a cheeseburger got me in the door. A pool pass in the summer, where 14 years ago, some little kid said, "Nice farmer's tan, fatso," and I'm going to go back to that swimming pool. I might be a little slimmer. I don't know, but I'm going to go back. But I want to talk about community pride. A couple months ago, I had a friend, a coworker, a guy that actually works for me, say, "I'm looking at this house in Cuyahoga Falls." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "It's in the Hudson School District." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "They have a property thing with some stuff." And I go, "Let me look into that." Turns out he was going to buy a house that was on a former gun range riddled with lead, and this dude has a little kid that he loves. And I said, "Dude, they got the same houses they're building in Twinsburg at this place called Boulder Brook. There's going to be 30 of them. You should go look at that." He comes back next week. He goes, "Chuck, dude, you're not going to believe it. That house was awesome. The yard is beautiful. We're signing papers this Thursday. Can I leave a little early?" I go, "Go for it, dude. Go." So in that time period, some stuff came out. A 1/4 inch of history, that little book. I was able to give that to him. I'm out a copy because now he's going to be a proud resident. I call him neighbor, even though his house isn't even started yet. Just really excited. So I've been able to answer a whole bunch of questions about our community for him. And I encourage other residents to kind of be prideful of where you live and respectful of where you live. And to realize that where you lived before might change a little bit. You know, we might go from traffic lights to circles. Heck, I watched it go from blinking lights to traffic lights. I remember when you could go 50 miles an hour on nearly every road and 100 on some of them if you were lucky. But you didn't get caught going 50, but you get caught going triple digits. So anyhow, Twinsburg's growing, it's changing. We're one of the best cities, but we also have a history that we should be respectful of. That history includes KISS. I was so excited when I went to the fitness center and there's the little KISS tribute band at the entrance. Derek, could we get an Iron Maiden tribute band, please? A little Ed Force One landing in Twinsburg would be so rockin' awesome. British metal is, like, for whatever reason, overlooked in this country. So we live in this region. We're one of the best cities. We got one of the best school districts. We got a whole bunch of best stuff, right? But I drive through some other cities that have some great stuff too. So as we look forward, there's an ordinance today that says we're no longer going to look at the rental properties the same way that we've been able to look at the rental properties for the last 6 months. I drive through some cities, and I stayed in even a more awesome city than some I drive through. Oak Park, Illinois. Oak Brook's the headquarters of the greatest restaurant in the world. Oak Park's the headquarters of the greatest architect in the world. I get them confused. But they have these great ordinances that keep all the property together, and they have all of the grants for when folks run into challenges to maintain their property. They have everything set up to age in place. That's a fancy word I tell my mom and dad. They're getting a little up there. Hey, what are we going to do to help you age in place or get you into the right place? And my dad's like, "You're going to just drop me off like a dog?" And I said, "No, we're going to make certain that you're comfortable and safe. So we're going to do things to make your house a little bit better." So like as we look at, understand that some of this ordinance was a little bit overreaching and maybe violated some people's opinion of the Fourth Amendment. And the Fourth Amendment is my favorite one. I actually have a metallic t-shirt I could wear to the airport. So when I go through, it says, "I got the Fourth Amendment." So hands up, and they say, "Take that t-shirt off, dude." But it's important to, you're laughing. My wife doesn't think it's funny either. But you have this, what can we do to make the community and keep it great? The new houses are great. My buddy wanted to live in a 4-bedroom house. He wanted the bedrooms to all be upstairs.
1 minute.
3-bedroom homes, if you look around, they're not as maintained as well as the 4-bedroom ones for whatever reason. Could it be the renters, could it be the landlords, whatever it is, they just don't look the same in most of the neighborhoods. I drive through Shaker Heights, they all look beautiful. They have a very similar ordinance to what we're repealing, but they have some supports to help people maintain their properties a little bit better. You guys keep doing what you're doing, and ladies, make Twinsburg great. I haven't seen Sasquatch yet.
Next, we have Paul Levine.
Paul Levine, 9337 Adam Run. And I actually was going to digress and not talk after Dusty and everybody, because my timing might be bad tonight because I was actually going to talk about the roundabouts. And unfortunately, we have some people who don't feel that the roundabouts are better for the city, but actually my 84-year-old father, I just drove back to Akron Airport, and he was amazed. They don't have roundabouts in New York City, unfortunately. They have traffic lights. People don't really listen to them or do anything with them. They blow through them when they're red. But he saw the roundabouts, and I actually let him drive. He does drive, actually. He drives better than me, actually. I should take that back. And he just could not believe there was no reason to have to sit at a red light when there's no cars there. And I brought him the way that I go every morning, which is through Glenwood, the hard part, allegedly, to be able to get through Glenwood to the other side of Glenwood. So all my neighbors, maybe my neighbors are just different from neighbors who live in Meadowwood, they all love the roundabout. They're like, we don't wait. There's no I said this 3 months ago. The whole idea of the roundabout was to get rid of traffic. End of conversation. There's no more traffic there. Now, I don't know, I'm not a city engineer, if they do need the second roundabout, but the first one is a success. That's coming from an 84-year-old man who was just here for 4 days. My mom doesn't drive, unfortunately, so she had no opinion. My 16-year-old daughter, who goes through it every day, says she has no problem. So if there are accidents, I have to believe it's not the roundabout once again. It is driver error. They're either aggressive drivers to begin with, and I'd love to see what their records are and how many accidents they've been in, and obviously we can't find that out. But the roundabout is successful. So again, I wasn't going to talk because I can't, after Dusty and certainly Chuck, it's very hard to follow through, but you do have a lot of the residents. And I could say we talk, we go out where I live, and they love the roundabout. The roundabout comes up and they just say, we don't get it. We don't get why there is such a disdain for the roundabout. We all love it. So with that, just to let you know, it's been a success. And most of the citizens feel it's been a success. Thank you.
Next, we have Sally Gaydosh.
I'm Sally Gaydosh, 9250 Liberty Road. Speaking of history, I have been here, 65 years? One thing I would like to ask, just in case I don't want to forget, Mr. Yates, have you ever found the cornerstone plaque for our city hall?
The cornerstone plaque?
The one that's always been out in the lobby. As a matter of fact, there were 2 of them. They're bronze plaques with the history of this building on.
I haven't looked for them, so
Okay.
I can check and see.
I think it's something important that we should, it has a lot of history on those plaques. I'm just hoping that we find them because they were expensive. I'm here to talk about something that I think has been very controversial, and I think it's time that we address it. It's the, and probably Mr. Fury, I probably can address you about this. There's been a lot of discussion of whether or not we have voted to rezone the property downtown to C5. Now, let me just give you what I have found here in my research. My efforts challenging council on the zoning maps and zoning code have been ongoing for years, with most being successfully resolved in the courts. A remaining concern includes the misrepresentation of map changes initiating the C5 rezonings without confirmation of an ordinance number, date of description, and the rezone district's published map identified as follows. I'm referring to an August 22nd, 2006 map. This is 2006, 11 years ago. Headed by Catherine A. Pocroft, Mayor, and Amy Moore, Engineer, certified by them. The map was prepared August 6, 2007, and I have a print file if you're interested in that. This August 22nd, 2006 map identifies 8 valid ordinances in the ledger: Ordinance 79, 164, 165, 2004, 83, 2005, 02, 2005, and 93, 2005, 130, 2005, 02, 2006. As required by our Zoning Code 1103 and Charter 7A01, and pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 731:23 and 42, the city's codified ordinances, Walter Drain publication, as certified by you, Mayor Yates, and Lisa Spraggins, must be an error. It has been certified August 23rd. Yes, I've got the certification. August 23rd, 2016, you certified this codified ordinances. It included 8 zoning map changes in Table 1, listing the ordinance number, date, description, and zoning district changes. All fine and certified and listed on the map in the ledger. The Walter Drain publication Table 1 identifies only certified ordinances, including description of proposed zoning district changes that date back to 1955 and concluding in 2014, as you certified, Mayor. However, missing on Table 1 is an ordinance number and date and description of land proposing to change zoning to C5 district boundaries downtown. That's missing because there never was an ordinance. The final page of the Walter Drain publication concludes, as the Ohio Revised Code 731:23 and 42 hereby certify that the permanent ordinances of the City of Twinsburg, as revised, rearranged, compiled, renumbered as to sections, codified, printed herewith, are correctly set forth and constitute the codified ordinances of the City of Twinsburg, as complete and certified August 23rd, 2016. Now, until we can find an ordinance, 2006, that's 11 years ago, that August 22nd map identifies those parcels rezoned to C5 without an ordinance, without our vote, and perhaps more important, is the concern and advice of the Ohio Planning and Zoning Laws, Chapter 7, Zoning Maps Generally and District Boundaries. The map should be updated and signed by the appropriate authorities on a regular basis, depending on the frequency of the amendments. I don't know if I have found an ordinance where council has approved or adopted the map for years. I'm not sure, maybe there's one more recent, but the last one I could find was 1989, sponsored by Mr. Romito. This maps, every time there's a rezoning, those maps should be certified and council should be voting on them once we approve the zoning. The failure by an ordinance and voter approval to properly establish zoning district boundaries, either by publishing or textual descriptions, has led to the invalidation of the entire zoning ordinance and map. The failure to have an easily interpreted zoning map clearly delineating legislated and voted district boundaries can invalidate the application of the zoning code and affecting any future permits issued by the city. So I would suggest that we take a look. If we haven't voted, probably a good idea to consider what we're voting on. I know of at least 65 parcels downtown area rezoned without a map. Gary, you conducted a public hearing. When we were approving 1148 regulations, it did not approve rezoning of land. There was no map. When we checked with the Board of Elections, the Board of Elections said they had no map confirming this. So I think it's time, because you're talking about a lot of property. You're talking about the CIC coming in and doing downtown renovations. It won't happen unless you get a map with the proper boundaries, certified according to all the laws, and the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last, we have Patrick Jeffers.
Hi, Patrick Jeffers, 9948 Nantucket Cove. I just wanted to introduce myself as a recently appointed member of the Environmental Commission. I want to thank you all for your part in the appointment, and I look forward to working with you here in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. No comment? Anyone? Okay, next we have presentations. Mayor?
All right, good evening, everyone. Daisy, you want to come on up? So we have the Environmental Commission. The city itself does no real scholarships, and last year, Daisy, through the Environmental Commission, sought out the potential to give scholarships through our Environmental Commission and found sponsors to do that. So last year was the first year we gave away a sponsorship, and this year we're actually giving away 2. So I'll let her share a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. As the mayor stated, last year was our first year giving out a scholarship for someone who is majoring in environmental studies or urban building studies. This year we were fortunate that I met a young lady by the name of Miss Tanisha Taylor, and she has a family-owned business, and I talked to her about that. And I said, you know, we have a couple of people who applied, and we're looking for a $300 scholarship. She says, I think we could do that. Then she said, can I call you back? And I go, yes. And so she called me back within 5 minutes, and she says, can we give more money? Can we give another scholarship? And I said, of course. So during the process, she mentioned her daughter, Kayla Hairston, who's a part of the family business that is donating that, and she mentioned that her daughter is a recent graduate of Twinsburg High School, and she would like to pay it forward by giving us the scholarship, and she's going to have a few words to say. Kayla? Yes. No.
We'll let you talk into the mic. It's fun.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kayla Hairston. I am a graduate from Twinsburg High School, and I would like to be a blessing and pay it forward and help another student reach their educational goals. My grandmother owns her own cleaning business, which I asked her to sponsor 2 students from my high school for a scholarship for college. She has taught me to be a giver, and I'm paying it forward for the next graduate. Education is important. Congrats and good luck to you both. And I just had a few more words to say. I just appreciate the time that these 2 people took to write an essay for this, because education is very important and it gets you very far. And just them taking the time to do that for their own self is very important, because you are the only person that can empower what you want when you want to grow on your own. And that's what I choose to do. I want to be my own business owner one day and own my own daycare. So I know that having people to support you and be behind you in your goals is very important. So I would like to be that for someone in their goals. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on. We've got the first scholarship winner. Rick, you want to come on up? So we have Rick Mansfield. And I've known Rick for a long time, so I've seen him grow and I've seen him become. You can come on up here. Get you on camera. And so I've seen him grow. I've seen him grow through his Eagle Scout. It's really been an honor just to be part of his family and watching him grow up with his sister. He's got a twin sister that I also know. But they did write essays, and I read these essays, and I just want to read a little something from each of them. And so Rick is going to be going to Kent State. He's majoring in architecture and environmental design. And so I've just pulled just kind of a quote that I thought kind of summed up Rick, and then when I bring Leigh up, I'll do the same. But it says, I see myself in a position where I can make a positive impact on neighbors by giving them a more convenient, beautiful, and eco-friendly environment to work, live, and play in. You know, and that really kind of summarizes what I think the Environmental Commission looks for when they give these scholarships away. And then lastly, he said, I've been taught, leave a place better than we found it. So I think that's great. Congratulations, Rick.
Photo.
Here's my student.
Leah, do you want to come on up? So we have Leah Fletcher, and again, I'm fortunate to know Leah quite well, so I see her around my house quite a bit. So Leah also wrote an essay and spent a lot of time writing it, and there was one quote in here. She spent her time talking about the parks, and it was really great to see kind of the intimate approach she took to the time she spends in our park systems and what she really values. But there was one quote that really stood out. It said, "The most beautiful part is the moment you pass a stranger and you look up for a second and you give a quick smile. In this moment, you may not know who you greeted, but both of you are enjoying the same path and the same natural world around you." So I think, that really kind of sums up we have a couple thousand acres of parkland. We have a nature center in our partnership with Summit County, but really it's about the experience that we have out there when we're enjoying these trails and this parkland. And I think Leah did a great job summarizing that. So congratulations. All right. Thank you very much.
Next, we have the council communications and committee reports. Mr. Scafidi.
Thank you, Mr. Sorese, and good evening. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on April 12th. They had two appeals that evening. Appeal number 3, 2017, was a East Aurora Road business coming in for a variance to a driveway. Specifically, they were looking for a 10-foot setback variance to allow for driveway expansion. So after a lengthy discussion, the board voted, and they approved that variance by a 5-0 vote. The next appeal was appeal number 4, 2017, and that was a Ashdale Drive resident coming in for a 75 square foot floor area variance, looking for an accessory building, an outdoor accessory building. Currently, the code, it's you're allowed 140 square feet. He's looking to go 12 by 18, which would require that 76 additional square feet. Again, after discussion by the board, they approved that variance by a 5-0 vote. So at this time, I would like to, number one, make a motion on appeal number 3, 2017, that we waive the 30-day waiting period. Is there a second? Mr. Fury, second. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And then I do have another motion to waive the 30-day waiting period on appeal number 4, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that ended the meeting that evening. The meeting scheduled for tomorrow night has been canceled due to no applications. Other than that, that's the end of my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
Okay, the Architectural Review Board met on April 20th. We swore in the new members at that time. We also had quite a few cases. There was a case for 10336 Fox Hollow, where they're putting a front porch on, a pergola, and that was approved as submitted. A case on Simsbury Court, where they are adding an outdoor grilling area, that was also approved as submitted. Vernon Lane, 2816 Vernon Lane, they are renovating an exterior room. That was approved as submitted. 2000 Trailwood Drive, another addition, that was approved as submitted. And then there were a number of homes in Fox Hollow. There was 10349 Fox Hollow, a single-family home that was approved as submitted. Actually, it was approved with changes, or, they made some changes, but they agreed to them, and that was approved as well. Hunter's Ridge, 2711 Hunter's Ridge was approved. Pulte Homes, now Corbett's Farm, 10153 Corbett's Lane was approved as submitted, 2097. Another 3 homes by Pulte were approved in Corbett's. Also, there was a sign that was approved for Panera Bread in the new sign that they had approved earlier. And then we had a work session for Young Explorers where they removed a couple of walls on the addition, and the ARB agreed to that. So that was also approved. That is all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Fury.
Thank you. Good evening. I attended Environmental Commission on Thursday, April 13th, for Mr. Roden. At that meeting, we had audience participation by former Councilman Bill Hahn, who discussed a program to save large trees and maintenance of them long-term. And most of the meeting was a discussion on how to set up and perform at Earth Day, which Mr. Roden will continue to report on. The next meeting for the Environmental Commission is May 11th at 7 o'clock. The Park and Recs Commission will meet this Thursday, April 27th at 6:30. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't had any meetings in the last couple of weeks. The Twins Days Committee does meet next Wednesday, May 3rd at 7 p.m. in the Twins Days office. And that's all I had. Mr. Roden?
Thank you. As everyone's kind of been talking about, the Earth Day, third annual Earth Day was a huge success. I'd like to thank Daisy and all the commissioners who were out, or the people on the commission. Even our new 2 commissioners were out as well, and they did a great job. I couldn't get there until almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we still had a huge crowd of people out there. So this event has just grown and grown, and it's because of the dedication of the people on the commission that has really made it come together, and also with all the help that Daisy mentioned earlier as well. I mean, amazing. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Stanley Stein had over 20 participants for his walking tour. So that's pretty cool. You know, the Summit County Metro Park estimated they had 450 people during the event. So when we got there again, there was not a parking space to be had. Also, just so you know, we have a list of people who signed up for rain barrels and winners of the prizes. So the rain barrels and prizes may be picked up on Saturday, April 29th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the Public Works Department on Ravenna Road. If you have questions, you can call Daisy Walker. But again, great job to everyone on the commission. They did a really nice job, and definitely it's going to be, I believe, Saturday again next year, and I'm expecting even better, so, and more things to come. So thank you very much. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Steele?
I had 2 committees meet. One was the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission approved the final site plans for Finest Auto Wholesale and our new McDonald's. And the other one was the Golf Advisory Board. Things are moving forward at the golf course. Hopefully we'll get a lot of nice sunny days so that we don't get a lot of rain up there, because rain is going to slow things down. That's basically it at the golf course. Hopefully we get it up and running.
All done?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McFerrin?
None of my committees have met.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, good evening, everyone, again. A couple of things. So Mr. Steele touched on the golf course. So that project is going on. Just please, if you're a golfer or near that area, bear with us. They're trying to get that upper lot in, just so that we can accommodate the golfers for this season. We're packing them all in the old lot. Once they do that, they'll transition over to the new lot, at least part of the new lot, and the new entrance is going to come off of Vale Drive. But for those golfers, and if you're in leagues or anything, we're stacking cars the best we can. I drove up there before this meeting, and we got cars parked everywhere, but they're all out playing right now. So I just ask you to bear with us. That project hopefully will get paved to do the switch in the next couple of weeks. Couple of things going on. We hosted, so the mayors and service directors around Portage County and Summit County, we gather and we discuss service issues that are going on in different communities, just to bounce ideas and different programs that we're doing off each other. We met, Twinsburg hosted it this week, and we did it at Blue Canyon, and we had a good turnout, and Chris Campbell, our Public Works Director, did a great presentation on a couple of the programs we do in town. Actually brought up some of the equipment to show the other municipalities. But it's a great way that we can, start that dialogue so that as we move toward potential regionalization, is looking at different communities, different things we can share in equipment or programs or do with each other to, kind of reduce costs and reduce some of the capital investment we have on some of this equipment we're using. And that's kind of the whole purpose of it. So it's, but I just want to thank him for the presentation he did. I attended today the three-chamber luncheon, and we had a presentation regarding manufacturing in Ohio. And I didn't realize this. Outside of California and Texas, Ohio is the number three manufacturing state in the country. It's a very desirable place. Now, the manufacturing today, of course, is much different than the manufacturing was 20 years ago. However, we do have a strong environment for manufacturing, and hopefully we'll continue to, to keep what we have here and hopefully bring in some different businesses to Twinsburg. I know Larry mentioned earlier in our caucus meeting, we are running out of land. So one of our issues here in Twinsburg is we're pretty well built out. We got companies that want to expand, but we don't really have a place to put them. So that's one of the difficulties we have here in Twinsburg right now. I want to touch on Earth Day. I spent most of the Saturday up at the Metro Parks. And it was just a great partnership for there. It's a perfect place for that event. We've hosted it at our fitness center, but really having Earth Day up at the Nature Center is the perfect place to have it. And just thank Metro Parks and all the committee members. We have a few here tonight. We've got Scott, Chuck, we've got Patrick. Thank for the time and effort that they put in and the different people that were helping volunteer up there. But it turned out to be a great day. We had a steady flow. Thanks Stan for all the tours he did. But it was great to hear all the positive responses from everyone. Let's see. I want to mention Twinsburg has a Police Explorers program. So we have high school kids that want to be future policemen. And they enter a competition every year. And this year I just want to recognize them. They placed second in the Ohio Explorers competition that was, I believe, about a week ago. So our chief wasn't here tonight, but he wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. And then a couple of things just want to bring up. We started a lot of different programs here at the city since I became mayor. One of our latest ones that Colette may mention also is, we're pushing all of our employees and actually requiring our employees to become certified in first aid and CPR. So we're going to be training here at the city. I want to thank our assistant chief Basso from helping organize that, but we've now got it in the next few weeks. All of our employees here at the city in the next few weeks will be certified in CPR and first aid, which I think is a great accomplishment. Hopefully April here will take some note of that and print something for us. But I think it says a lot about our workforce that as we strive in our wellness programs and different things, that this is just another step that we're taking. We've had, Derek's probably going to mention something, we had our bicentennial meeting, so we are in the year of the bicentennial. We have events coming up. July 22nd is our big event, and some great dialogue has gone on the last few meetings regarding planning that event, so I encourage everyone to kind of mark that date off in your calendar. It'll be a full day of stuff going on down at the square. And stuff going on in the square, we also we've confirmed now with our market on the square events that are going to go on. So in June, the second Saturday in June, July, we're still discussing August about that particular date, but then in September we have a really nice kind of upscale market with food trucks and everything that's going to be going on from 9 to 3 on the square. So we're trying to create some more activity down there, and this was actually a previous resident of Twinsburg. She graduated from the high school that helped organize this, so we're excited to bring this to Twinsburg. Let's see, lastly, next Tuesday, which is also the election day, I'm hosting the second Mayor's Community Forum, so if you have anything you want to talk about or discuss, and this is kind of a, we've done ward meetings in the past, and I've kind of put out on the schedule four of these meetings over the year so people can plan for them. This is the second one coming up. We really didn't really plan it, think about it when we planned it on May 2nd on Election Day, but hopefully everyone's voted by then. They'll come out at 6:30, and I've got, I know Maureen Stauffer's confirmed, and we have a couple department heads. So really throughout the year, as we have these meetings, it's kind of just a question and answer kind of session. I'll give some updates on things going on in the city, some different projects, and really it's just a kind of a relaxed atmosphere for us to just talk, and if you guys have concerns or if you have anything you want to know about that you're not getting from the meetings or from our website, just please come out for that. And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you.
And we have some department head reports. Colette, you want to start?
Good evening, everybody. From the Civil Service, the Civil Service Commission met on April 6th. Leonard Taylor, our new commissioner, was sworn in, and then they certified the fire eligibility list. We had, I think, 43 applicants for firefighters that were certified on that list. Then on last Friday, the 21st, we had a dispatch exam. We had 12 applicants for that test, so we'll be conducting the assessment of the scores and then sending out the letters and getting those letters out to those people. So, and then they'll have like next week to do appeals, and then at the next meeting for the Civil Service Commission, which is on May 12th, they'll certify that list. So we'll have a certified list for fire and a certified list for dispatch. And the IT department, the auction's going really well on eBay. All that old stuff that was in the basement, Zach's been having a good time sending out boxes, and have a little business going there. He's got about $600 worth of stuff sold so far. So that's money that we didn't have, and it was just old stuff in the basement. So they're also working on things like some upgrades in the wiring at the internet connections at the Berg over there at the fitness center. And so the outdoor pool's going to be up and running, so they'll be upgrading some of that stuff and getting that ready to go. And then just busy with everything else. IT, it's the technology that is just astounding. It's the range of services and products that they have to constantly service, and the help desk issues that come up constantly. It's pretty amazing that they get that done. So HR-wise, May 1st, 3rd, and 4th, we're going to be getting the rest of our employees, and I say there's about 30 employees each day that'll go through the first aid training, and you guys are invited too, by the way. And it's all being done for free by our own fire department. So our fire is already certified. Our police officers are mostly already certified. A lot of our aquatics staff is already certified. So the 100 or so that are left will all be certified. And then there's a few people who work like a third shift that won't be able to attend, but they will be individually certified throughout the year. So we were looking to get 100% certified. We do have an employee appreciation luncheon tomorrow. You're all invited. Council, not you all. We are having biometric screenings for our employees in conjunction with our wellness program on May 4th and May 11th. That will be at the fitness center. That again is cost-free for the city. That's considered a preventative service through Medical Mutual. So that will be your cholesterol and your blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. So council also can attend that if you'd like to. Seasonal hiring is almost like 95% complete. We have just recently made an offer to a plant attendant at the wastewater treatment plant, so that's a full-time position. And then we also hired a full-time receptionist at the fitness center. Morgan is the mayor's assistant. We attended a breakfast at University Hospitals had last week. They invited local mayors, HR directors, safety directors, just to inform us about their ongoing employment initiatives. Like they offer a lot of services to employers that are sort of wellness related, as you could imagine, and it's much more than you might think. So we may be working with them in the future. And then I just wanted to say, thank you to all our administrative assistants here at the city. They all do a great job, and this is Administrative Assistance Week, so thank you to all of them. That's it.
Colette,
Yeah.
you were talking about the CPR certifications.
Yes.
Will they renew them every year, or don't they do that anymore?
Yeah, yes, we're
two-
planning to
It's
keep
a
everybody.
two-year renewal, so it's a
current.
two-year
It-
renewal. So yeah,
it
so
is-
once we.
It is 2 years, but we'll keep everybody
Right.
current, right?
Keep
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're not,
Yeah.
you're not gonna certify them for the AEDs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doing
CPR,
Yep.
AED, and first aid stuff, basic
Correct.
first aid, yep.
That's a good thing.
And
Thank you.
fire extinguishers too, we're gonna learn those too.
Thanks,
All right.
Colette.
Okay. All right. Derek, you want to come up?
Good evening again.
Hello.
I just wanted to give you a heads up on a couple of things. One was a capital project that was approved, was our senior van for the senior center. Speaking with our head mechanic over at Service Bar, we kind of narrowed down to the van we were looking at, went to the state bid, and we ended up finding it a little bit cheaper and in this county, so we're going to move forward with that purchase of the senior van. The state bid one, once we had on the options we needed, it was much higher than the one we're going to be getting that already has the option from a company called Mobility Works in Summit County. So we're going to move forward with that. And additionally, just from people talking about the water park and having more people at the water park this year with our bundling program and Jogga Lake closing and Redwood closing, we think maybe people think it's crowded when there aren't enough chairs. It's not that it's crowded, it's just they don't have anywhere to sit and they don't want to bring their own chair. So we'd like to purchase some more chairs and about 4 more tables, and then we kind of strategically place them around the pool and kind of draws the crowd out so it seems less crowded, which it is. It's just once you run out of chairs, they say it's overcrowded. So we were kind of looking at how we could do that, and we've saved some money on a couple other capital projects at the pool, the pool pump or the slide pump, and additionally the overhead sound system. We're hoping to reallocate some of those funds, about $6,500 of that, to put towards the 4 extra tables with chairs and umbrellas, and about 12 lounge chairs and 8 low chairs that you put at the shallow end. So I think that'll help with the appearance of not being as full. Speaking of that sound system, we did the upgrade that was approved by the capital improvements and this group as well at the fitness center, and then that's just, I think they're still finishing up the one at the water park right now. Rock the Park schedules released over the last couple of days here. I do want to thank Strachan Novak Insurance for supporting that. This is their 8th year as the presenting sponsor. We have a bunch of other sponsors as well, but they've really supported it from day one and have been a big they bought into it and they help with decisions and they're at meetings, so we really appreciate Strachan Novak Insurance. So all the dates are up there on their website. We have an additional date of the Cleveland Reggae Fest too, that really not a part of Rock the Park, but we're doing in conjunction with a company called Taste CLE. That'll be on Friday, May 26th at the venue. And I think that might be a trend that we might see other organizations wanting to utilize our venue for certain things. But I think it's great for us. It already is close to being sold out. So get your tickets, Karen. We're excited about that. And it gets brand new people that's probably never come to our venue, and it's before any of our other shows. So it's a great marketing opportunity for us at the venue. And all that info is at rocktheparkconcert.com. As the mayor mentioned, we do have a planning committee for Founders Day, which is on July 22nd. Lots of stuff coming for that. We meet at this point almost every 2 or 3 weeks in the evenings, and if anyone's wanting to get on that, they can let me know. It will be from 10 to 5 on July 22nd. We have the Twinsburg Duathlon coming up on June 4th here in town at the fitness center. Another thing at the fitness center, the locker room project we're on. I was checked out there this morning, and they have skimming the walls so that you can't see the tile grout lines that we approved, I think, a couple of council meetings ago. So that is moving underway. Hopefully you received your bicentennial books and seen the banners. They were in the front of City Hall. They moved over to the fitness center. They're going to kind of be traveling around, so you'll see them at different places. And if you need them for a meeting or anything like that, if you let me know, we can move them to certain places. If you're having a public event or ward meeting or something like that where you want them at, just let me know and we can move them around. Camp registration started this past week, so you can register for camp, Safety Town as well. Our theater production for the summer for kids, The Lion King, went on sale yesterday and sold out this morning. So that is completely full. We're going to be tracking down lots and lots of seasonal employees for all their paperwork. Well, I guess Colette is, because that's always a task trying to get all the paperwork in. And I do Administrative Assistance Day. Mine is the best, so I'll take Pat. She does an amazing job for our department and a big champion for us. So I just want to give her a good shout out because she deserves it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Karen?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to report for the month of April. We have received our full collection. The total amount is $1,942,968 for the month, and as a result, that's a reflection of 12% down compared to last year. Refunds are in the amount of $42,985. For the year, we are up by 1%. The total amount we have thus far is $6,967,341 compared to last year's collection of $6,896,506. The net change in distribution grand total for the individual net profit as well as withholding is $190,565. I also want to mention that there's some great things happening in the finance department currently. We are finally on our way to cross-training. We've begun that process a little bit by force, but it's going. We have a wonderful new employee who's just managed to just come right in. She's like a sponge and very excited to learn. Sarah Davis, it's really great having her as one of our new staff members in the finance department. And I must say, I can't go without saying I'm very grateful to have Brenda Burns as far as having her as our administrator. She's very fantastic. She's a helper with all of us, and she doesn't hesitate to lend out a helping hand whenever needed. So we're definitely fortunate to have a great staff on board, and everybody's working together, and cross-training is happening finally. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Just, I want to mention one more thing. I didn't mean to forget Daisy when I introduced the Environmental Commission. So Daisy's kind of the leader of the Environmental Commission, so it just goes without saying when her presence is always part of Environmental Commission. But I do want to thank Joe Jasny. So I was able to attend a luncheon that he hosted. Shannon was there also. At the VFW Hall, so they provide, they transport in veterans from the Wade Park Hospital and host them for lunch that day. And it was just, I hadn't been to it in the past, and I want to thank Joe for doing it, but it was just great sitting down and just being able to talk to these guys and get to know them a little bit. But they truly appreciate the work that they do there, and the fact that they get a chance to kind of take a field trip, come out that day and spend some time with other veterans. So I just wanted to thank him. I forgot to mention that in my report. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, legislation. Ordinance 36, 2017.
An ordinance amending section 105.01 of the codified ordinances of the city of Twinsburg, describing and identifying new wards and boundaries in accordance with the report of the Districting Commission as required by section 3.02 of the Charter of the city of Twinsburg.
Okay, this ordinance is again for the redistricting of our boundaries, and tonight is its third reading, but I'm going to make a motion to amend this ordinance and add the emergency clause so that we could get the paperwork to whoever it has to get to right away. So going to make that motion to amend ordinance 36, 2017 to add the emergency clause. Do I have a second? Mr. Fury seconds. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Cerisi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 36, 2017 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McFerrin, second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 36, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Scafidi, second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ordinance 36, 2017 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 54.
An ordinance repealing Ordinance 65, 2016, which established Chapter 1369 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Twinsburg and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 54, 2016 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Steele, second. Discussion?
The reason for the emergency is we want to eliminate this because there's a pending lawsuit, and they'll make it go away.
Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 54, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Steele, second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. McFerrin, or Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ordinance 54, 2017 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 55.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various general and special revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 108, 2016, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2017, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 55, 2016 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer, second. Discussion?
The reason for the emergency is we've got $25,000 in donations for the 200-year anniversary books. We want to deposit that into an account. We don't want to wait 30 days.
Any other? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 55, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 55, 2017 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Resolution 56.
A resolution authorizing the disposal of certain personal property owned by the City of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 56, 2017. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury, second. Discussion?
The purpose of this resolution is to donate some 20-year-old fire equipment that is no longer utilized or even in working condition by the fire department.
Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Resolution 56, 2017 passes 7-0. Resolution 57.
A resolution authorizing the city engineer to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Program and to execute contracts as required for the Oakwood Drive improvements.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 57, 2017. May I have a second? Second. Mr. Scafidi, seconds. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment. This is for Oakwood Drive, which is in Glenwood Acres. We've been trying to go through the entire subdivision there and replace all that transite water line with ductile iron, and this goes along with our goal and our projects that we've been doing there. We're currently in the middle of doing Crestwood Drive, and where we're doing the same thing, replacing the water line, repairing some sewer lines, and then rebuilding the pavement. So this goes along with that, and I hope that once we finish Crestwood, and if we get this funding for Oakwood and able to do that project, we'll have about 2 streets left, and we would have been through the whole Glenwood Acres subdivision. So I think it's been a long time coming, and we've been working at it little by little every single year in order to get that all replaced, and I'm just happy to see this on tonight, and I hope council considers passing it as we have in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Resolution 57, 2017 passes 7-0. Resolution 58.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the Summit County Intergovernmental Memorandum of Understanding for Job Creation and Tax Revenue Sharing.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 58, 2017. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer seconds. Discussion?
This is an agreement that we've entered into over the last few years, and this is through Summit County, and this is multiple municipalities participate in this. So it allows for some revenue sharing when businesses actually leave your community and go to another municipality. It kind of helps offset some of the loss for that municipality. So it's something that we participate in, as well as Hudson and other surrounding communities.
Thank you. Any other comment? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Resolution 58, 2017 passes 7-0. Ordinance 59.
An ordinance for a cash advance from the general fund to fund 281 federal grants and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 59, 2017 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Roden seconds. Discussion.
This is this is to front money for a grant that the fire department has received. The project is $84,000 and the grant's for $71,800.
Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
The emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 59, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Ordinance 59, 2017 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 60.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various general and special revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 108, 2016, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2017, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 60, 2017 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer seconds. Discussion?
This just authorizes the purchase of the decontamination equipment for the fire department that we had the grant for on the previous resolution.
Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 60, 2017 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Roden seconds. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 60, 2017 passes 7-0 as an emergency. That's it for the legislation. Miscellaneous, unfinished business. Mr. Scafidi.
I have nothing tonight, thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
I'd like to thank Daisy for all of her hard work. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Fury.
Hi. Earlier this evening, we had a brief discussion with the city engineer regarding the roundabout. and if we were gonna make a change, the deadline is May. I think I talked to the mayor about a year and a half ago about making this change, and we've waited and waited and waited. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we redesign the intersection at Ethan's and Meadowwood and 91 to be a traditional signalized intersection and not a second roundabout. Is there a second?
I'll second. Discussion?
I think
Yeah, I'd
we
like
need
to-
more discussion before we do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we need, our residents need to know that it's going to be a $400,000 discussion. You just had that with
Well-
Amy, right? She threw the number out there.
The number's been out there for a year and a half.
It
Well, I
potentially
don't- I
could
don't
be a
know.
big,
How
could
many-
potentially be
did
a
you know
bigger
that?
number.
$400,000 is what it's going to cost if we change this to our residents, right?
There might be other, I thought there was
Yeah.
other fees
There
too.
there could be additional costs and expenses as we continue. We have to renegotiate 12 property takes and right-of-way takes, re-engineering the whole project. You know, and there are a number of people who are just not going to like roundabouts. You know, but to create a 5-lane intersection there, to me, you know, we have residents, and one of the residents here that actually sit on that intersection that are so thankful that we put a roundabout in because there's no more stacking in front of their houses. They don't hear the noise. They don't smell the pollution. I mean, from an environmental standpoint, roundabouts are so much better. And the reason we approved this in the first place was the safety issues. I mean, they're so much safer. The speeds that the cars are going to travel when they hit, coming out of the roundabout, when they hit Meadowwood, you're not going to want to cross there. It's going to be dangerous. We're going to have, you know, we have accidents all over this community. You know, no one wants to talk about the accidents we have all over this community. Everyone wants to, you know, we have this, you know, the same number of accidents, if not less, at the roundabout than we do over the rest of parts of Twinsburg. You know, this is a project that makes sense, and you know, I hear a lot of positive comments. We had a couple of them tonight. I hear a couple of them. I went to, you know, last year when I did my State of the City at the seniors, I had a number of seniors that were opposed to it, and we have one sitting here tonight, and we've talked about it. We disagree. We're friendly, but we disagree. This year, I had actually as many coming up to me saying they love it. They, you know, they didn't last, you know, before it went in, now it's in. They really like it, and they think it moves traffic. It's doing exactly what it wants to do. You know, so I would please ask council, do not move forward. I mean, this was a surprise brought up tonight, no discussion prior to this motion that this was going to happen tonight. So I would ask council to, I guess, to not move forward with, you know, you're costing the cities a significant amount of money by redesigning this and creating a more dangerous intersection. You know, Mr. Fury of One sat here and gave a speech on the safety of roundabouts at a council meeting. Talked about, in his opinion, how much safer he believed they were than a traditional thing. So what you're asking council to do is create a more dangerous intersection for our residents and go against everything you've said in the past, if you vote yes on this.
At a cost.
At a cost,
At
at a
big
cost to our
the
residents.
You know, it seems like our council just is spending money, and, you know, we talk about, well, let's just change it back. You know, there were several of us that were on this council when we supported that, to put that roundabout in. And obviously it passed because it went forward. And we gave them all the okays, the engineering was done, the money was spent, and now it's just easy to say, you know what, we don't want it, let's spend $400,000 or $500,000 of our residents' money, and let's just get rid of it, let's change it back. Well, you know what, I think it's a little bit more important than just a motion and a vote up here, because tonight you have the votes. You didn't have the votes 2 weeks ago, so you didn't want to bring it up then because you were missing a member. So, you know what, Maureen's right, Mrs. Stauffer's right, we need more discussion on this. I mean, if you talk about $400,000, $500,000 possibly, and it's so easy to just make a motion, forget everything that we did, let's just put it all back and start over. Well, it's not that easy. And you know, unfortunately, Mr. Fury, you were one of them that voted to put that roundabout in. And absolutely, you have every right to change your mind, but at whose expense? This is at the people's expense. This is the city's money. I don't think it's just that simple to just walk up here tonight and make a motion without any discussion. She's got until May. I think we should have a meeting on it. If this council needs to discuss it with the mayor and with the engineer, but it just makes me angry to think that we could just throw $500,000 away because, when you supported it to begin with. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
I thought there was also something where we might have to repay ODOT monies because of making the change, and I don't know what that
We'd have to
level is.
repay we'd have to repay $500,000 of engineering fees. I mean, yeah, we'd have to repay that.
And the other thing is, I mean, ODOT was behind it, the recommendations, and where are they now with the recommendations?
Yeah, that's
I
the
haven't
thing,
had
everyone
any
forgets the
updates.
history of this. When we go back, this goes back years. I mean, we all first questioned the roundabout and putting it in these two locations. We hired a private engineer that confirmed that that's the best and the safest and the most economical way to move traffic through there. And
Two engineers.
it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, I think the second roundabout, because there's the first one is there, is a necessity. I mean, you're going to have cars stacked up from a red light in front of houses in between. It's going to back up into the roundabout. I mean, there's hardly ever any stacking at all at this roundabout. Okay, it's doing its purpose. Okay, and to stop this and put a 5-lane intersection that's going to look like Pettibone and 91. If you can picture that parking lot that they have out there, okay, that's what it's going to look like. And you're going to have people doing 45 miles an hour by the time they hit Meadowwood. You know, the roundabout's going to slow down and calm traffic once it gets there. That's the purpose of it. It's going to keep it moving, but it's going to calm it. Okay?
I'll
There's
tell
no
you
way
what.
if I lived in Meadowwood, I'd want my kid crossing a 5-lane intersection to go over to Ethan's Green. I mean,
If I knew
it makes
this
no
was going
sense
to
that
happen,
this is
you
now been backdoored
you
into
were a
here.
big proponent of that golf course, and I supported that. I supported that clubhouse. I think it's needed. But if I knew we were going to do this, there's no way I would have worked for that golf course. We wouldn't have spent another dime up there because we're throwing $500,000 away.
Same,
to
we
switch
replaced
something
$7
back.
million of transite pipe that didn't need to be replaced in Ward 1, you know.
But yes, it did. You go
did.
talk to the
It did.
residents over there and
Right.
tell them it didn't need to be replaced. You go right ahead. They sat here in meeting after
Meadowwood and
meeting.
Ethan's, it's no different. You hear people that say they like it, you hear people say they don't like it.
Absolutely.
But bottom line, you had the guy who designed the first one, who said that they don't normally close, don't normally do half a roundabout and then work on the other half, and wouldn't recommend doing it again like that. I mean, but we're going to do it again like that.
No, he
No.
didn't mean the roundabout, Seth. He meant the way it was opened.
No, he
The way they-
meant
they
how
were-
they actually built it, that they had to go half and half. He most definitely said that.
No,
didn't he?
he's talking about the,
So,
in,
and the
no, he's
opening
talking
too,
about
but the opening was only because of, I'm not,
He
I
wasn't
mean,
opposed to the roundabout. The guy from ODOT.
I don't think I've always asked for us to go forward with the, what's it called? The survey. I know you don't want to do the survey, Ted. I still think we should do a survey because I don't think we get an accurate, you know, these guys over here say they like it. These, you know, people over here say they don't like it. I mean, I think we need to still do what we talked about. I mean, yeah, he's got the votes, but I mean, I don't
Well, you're
say we
one of
have to
those
do it
votes.
tonight.
You're
but-
one of those votes that,
yeah,
you know,
but
I mean,
I've
that's
never
why we
sided
vote off.
against anything. I've always said no to it. And when we first did this whole thing with the first roundabout, that second roundabout was never even talked about until we came to that
But,
meeting
you know,
here.
the thing that's
So-
disappointing is for months you guys talked about doing a survey, and I disagree with the survey. I've admitted publicly I disagree with the survey. But you've talked about doing a survey, and then you come in here and you backdoor a motion to kill, you know, a project without any discussion with me or anybody else at council. So you know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
ridiculous.
That's not
disturbing.
true,
It
Ted.
is
That's just not true.
It's absolutely
I've
true.
been talking to you for a year and a half on this. I've been telling you that there's an issue with Lisa Lane. You've got 120 yards away from a proposed roundabout, another light. So I don't think that it's going to be flying
I'm
through
telling
that.
you.
I've talked to you about Lisa Lane for almost 2 years. I talked to you about that when I went around in Meadowwood and in the north part of Ethan's, that people came out of the woodwork to tell me how much they hated the roundabout and they didn't want that there.
I walked the same
And I've talked to you about
neighborhoods
that
and
when
didn't get the
a
same
year and a half
response.
ago we had those discussions.
This
We've talked
here
about
is
having a
talking
survey for a year and it's been pushed
You're not
out.
doing a survey.
We're
You're trying to
down
kill a
we're
multi-million
down to
dollar
where there's
project.
not an option to
No.
move forward any
We're not
further.
calling it a multi-million-dollar project. We just want to change
We
the
paid-
intersection. The
We paid
project's
a
gonna
quarter
go-
million
At the cost
dollars
to our
more for
residents.
lights that weren't
At the
even in
cost
the
to our
original
residents.
Right.
cost.
You want-
You're gonna use less property for the original, for the roundabout than you would, or for the traditional than you would.
No, you're not.
I
No, you're
believe
not.
you are.
No, you're not. You're wrong. You're absolutely
are.
wrong. There's more property take because it's a wider intersection. When you
Right.
narrow down to the roundabout,
Bill,
it's
you
less
were-
take. We
you
have
were
to
there.
take more property
think
now.
you've looked at the
So you don't
pictures
know your
too.
facts.
You were
You're
wrong.
sitting here, you're hypocritical. You sat here and you
Now you're
campaigned.
gonna
I
hold
can
out.
pull. I
Now,
pulled the
you
video.
have a-
I can post a video.
Mayor, you have a difference of opinion, but keep your cool. And
Well,
let's
it's
not get
frustrating
personal.
because
Well, you can be
it's very-
frustrated, just like everyone
You know,
else, but
and
behave yourself.
It's true. You guys have sat and talked about a survey, and I said, look, I disagree with the survey, but if you're going to vote and do a survey, do a survey. Okay?
You never said
I
that.
think
You said you didn't want to survey at any rate.
I don't.
Right.
But I'd rather see you
So
do
what
a
difference does it
survey
make?
and really take a pulse of 19,000 residents than listening to a handful that have complained. Okay? That's the problem we have.
But we have a
I also
problem
don't know
in,
how to do a survey when half
I
the people
mean-
don't even have house phones.
we have a problem, we could say the same thing about the old school. We could have said the same thing about the golf course, the new clubhouse, and we haven't done that, okay?
I don't know
One
what
of
you're
the things
even
that
talking
I've
about.
been very frustrated with since getting on council, and I remind you, the first or second council meeting after I was sworn in, I stood in front of you guys, made the motion, that we figure out how to shut down the roundabout at 91 and Glenwood, right then and there. So if you say we haven't talked about these roundabouts, I did. Now, I don't know, I think for everybody else on council, Shannon sent out a thing to you. I got all the accident reports for the last 5 years, at 91 in Glenwood and 91 in Meadowood. Okay? Lisa Lane, there's been 3 accidents at 91 in Meadowood that are listed as accidents in that intersection, and they're ACD accidents. It's called assured clear distance. That's when the car behind you runs into the back end of your car. 2 of those accidents occurred 91 northbound, north of Meadowood, north of Ethan's. That's not related to our intersection. There was another one where the light was green and the first car couldn't get through the intersection and still got the back end of the car tapped. Okay? We, over the last 5 years, I started in 2011 through 2016, the number of accidents at Meadowood in 91 was 25. We averaged 5 accidents a year. Okay? In those accidents, there was 2 possible injuries. There was no injuries with people being transported by the fire department. It's amazing to me that some of these accidents that I was looking at were call cards only. One of them looked to me, by looking at the call card, not an accident report, but looking at the call card, which is what the police department keeps, was 2 cars pulled over on the side of the road, nobody around, they'd been there for a while. An officer went up there, stopped, didn't say it was an accident in the call card, but said that a tow was en route. Generally, when you get that, it's a disabled motor vehicle off the side of the road. But in the accident, in the statistics that I got from the police department about that intersection, it was included. There was one that was included, was a car versus deer. Okay? If you go and now you look at 91 in Glenwood, we have 39 accidents from 2012 to the start of April of this year. 39. 14 of those accidents are the roundabout. Now, I'm going to give you credit. Those 14 accidents also, a lot of those occurred when that roundabout was, as we were saying, still under construction. Okay? But that roundabout, with those 14 accidents, that's almost 36% of the accidents that occurred in 91 in Glenwood over a 5-year period. At 91 in Glenwood, we had 3 accidents that had possible injuries. Possible injuries could be, I broke my fingernail. Okay? As an officer, if you go to an accident scene and somebody says, I broke my fingernail, or you know what, I hit my knee, I don't want to go to the hospital, that's getting counted as an injury accident. But if you read down through the accident report and go to the narrative, okay, you can find through the accident report whether they were transported. Most of those are sign-offs. That means if the fire department showed up, they got there, they talked to the person and said, I don't want to go, I'm signing off, and they weren't transported. we had one injury transport accident out of 91 in Glenwood. The interesting thing to me is, at 91 in Glenwood, over those 5 years, we towed 21 cars from accidents. And most of those cars went from accidents that occurred within the roundabout. Because yes, you're getting less of a chance of maybe getting somebody hurt, but you're doing a lot more damage to the cars when they make contact. The last thing is,
That doesn't make sense.
okay, the cars,
None of it makes sense.
when you hit at an angle, okay, which is every accident is going to happen at 91 and or up there in the roundabout. It's an angle in accident, okay? When you do that, angle accidents generally do more damages to car because you end up hitting the car on a tire and collapsing the tire, or moving the front end of the body parts in.
What about
okay?
the people in the car?
Not injured.
No, but the other one, there's injury, right?
There are
T-bones.
several
T-bones,
in the
there's
accidents.
injuries.
In the accidents I looked at,
Mhm.
there are several, 2 or 3, that are T-bone accidents, no injuries. Okay, I went through the accident reports. If you'd like, I will copy
Oh, no,
everybody the accident.
I believe you, and I don't mean any
Okay,
disrespect,
so-
but they did say that's what the study,
Well,
the
what-
research showed.
What
is
they
would
said in the
increase.
actual results of what's been going on at 91 in Glenwood and 91 in Meadowood are different directions, folks.
So.
Okay, the number of accidents we have at our at intersections all through the city are assured clear distance. They really are. It's where somebody at a traffic light stops, the guy behind him looks one way, looks the other, thinks the light change, rolls forward, or somebody comes down and hits him. Okay, they tap them in the back end. Usually they result in minor damage, or they'll do, the other damage that can happen a lot is, it's called functional, which means they tap the back end or they hit the back end of the car and either the hood went up or the hood won't open on one car or the trunk won't open on the other. Okay? That's what's in the data that I got from the police department for the last 5 years.
But aren't those accidents on the roundabout the same thing, where someone's hitting someone on the side because they weren't supposed to go there? Just like someone trying at a
Well, we do
light
it,
going
and
when
Mayor,
there's nothing
you
to
said
go?
it, okay? And you were right. When I went through all the accidents at the roundabout, we do have a problem in the northwest corner of that, which is 91 southbound coming out of Solon, in between 91 and Glenwood, okay? Majority of accidents that we have up there in the roundabout right now are in that quadrant.
Agreed, and a majority of the ones you're talking about on the roundabout occurred during the construction phase, where
Well,
I spent
yeah,
I spent a significant amount of time talking about that situation, and literally went to ODOT, threatened the construction company, and I shut that thing down
Okay.
until it was done. Once we reopened it, in November, okay, the accident,
Well, let me
the
look.
frequency of accidents there are like any other intersection or any other area we have in Twinsburg. Okay, the roundabout's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's creating a safer, better way of moving traffic through there. I mean, the reason that all started was because that was from the Solon corridor to Post Road was one of our largest accidents area and one of our biggest traffic areas. There was 2 things we were trying to fix. Okay, we fixed both of those with that roundabout. I mean, we had some issues, okay, during the construction phase when they were trying to open it. Okay?
I don't remember in November when we opened it. Do you remember the first of the month, the end of the month, middle of the month?
I don't know,
Okay.
around the 8th or something.
Well, if it was the first of the month
Reopened
that we
December
opened it,
Mhm.
we've had 10 accidents in that
December.
intersection since we opened it and said it was open for vehicular traffic. If
So
it
what
was
are we
the
saying?
middle or
Opened
the
it
end.
was after,
Whether
like,
it's
let's
an
go,
accident
yeah,
in a
let-
traditional intersection or in a roundabout, are you saying that it's the intersection's fault? Is it a traditional intersection's
Well,
fault when cars
most-
crash there, or is it the roundabout's fault when they hit there? Or is it
Okay.
human error? It's people.
I
you know, I've
understand.
seen-
I agree with you.
Is
It's
it
more
the
in-
roundabout's
in-
fault when all the arrows are going this way, but a lady decides to turn left? Is that the roundabout's fault?
I agree with you. What
It's
you have
not,
to.
Brian. It's just not.
I mean,
By state definition, okay, an accident is an unintended event that causes damage to property or injury to persons, okay? That was the definition I lived with for 30 years on the police department. most accidents are caused by driver errors.
Amen.
Okay?
There you
But
go.
we seem to have a lot of driver errors going on in the roundabout on 91, because we're already up to 5. And if you take the roundabout accidents out, the 14 that are in here, that takes us down to 25, which takes us down to the same average that we have at 91 in Meadowwood. So, I'm sorry, guys, in my opinion, okay?
You can't put our residents in a bubble here. I mean, this is not something new just to Twinsburg, and we're saying, okay, we're going to put
No,
this
I'm
in
not
Twinsburg.
saying that. I'm saying-
Macedonia's looking at 2 of them. I mean, they're going to be all around here. I mean, are you going to go to every municipality and start campaigning against these things? I mean,
No.
it's.
I just
you know.
don't think it's the thing that we need in our city. It wasn't safe. We didn't have a problem in those intersections from the statistics from the accidents in the past. We put it in, but there was no problem. It was,
We had a problem with traffic and the
Traffic
flow,
flow.
and so it did, that one on 91 in Glenwood did what it was supposed to do, as you've all said, and it has. It's taken away the backup that we have at 91 in Glenwood. We don't have, I don't have a long wait when I pull out, and I just will say that I do live in Meadowwood, and I don't want my kid going around the roundabout. I'm okay with him. If that light stops, when he's gone on Pettibone, I don't have a problem with that. So I don't know, I disagree with you on that. I'm not saying that this was the right way to go and do this, but we have talked
Then
about
don't
this.
vote
I
for
did
it.
ask for the other thing to happen, but
Well, then don't vote for this. I mean, that's,
think
that's
we-
the
I don't
simple
know
answer
how
to
you
this.
put it on there when we don't have.
Pushing it off. We need to vote.
Well, I think that the residents need to have the information, and Ted, we have a meeting next Tuesday, right? Maybe we invite residents to come, and this would be an opportunity where, I mean, they have a right to know that we're making a vote that's gonna cost them money right after we voted for a clubhouse. So I'm really uncomfortable with this, and I don't think that the residents are aware, like,
I mean,
I don't think
Ms.
they
Soffer
know the
lives in-
actual
Ms. Soffer
price
lives in
of
Ethan's
this
Green,
decision
okay?
to flip.
and has voted and supported this project, okay? I mean, it makes no sense that you guys are gonna
Well,
kill.
What's the difference between that and Mr. Roden lives in Meadowwood and has been opposed to it the whole time?
since the beginning.
I mean, that doesn't, Sam, I've opposed this all along, and you know that. But the only problem I have with what you said is, and I don't know if it was directed at all of us, but you said, we just think it's easy to just throw away money, and we don't think that, and I think you know better than that. This is a serious decision. It takes thought, and we don't just jump into it just to waste money. I voted against the clubhouse too, because it was the wrong thing. But nonetheless, it won out and it's being built. That's the way things go sometimes. But it's not an easy decision. It's not just like I showed up tonight and decided to do this. These things
No,
require
this
some
was.
thought.
Well-
And we've been talking about this for a long time. I've asked for this survey over and over and over again. And, well, first, let's wait till the fall. Then let's wait till the thing opens. Then let's wait till the people go through. Then, and now, as Amy said, the deadline is here. It's been over a year that we've been wanting this thing. My mind is set, and it always has been, and I'm ready to vote.
Well,
And
I don't
Gary,
think
you know
I'm
what,
ready
that
to
wasn't
vote.
pointed at you. It
Okay.
wasn't because, and that's when I decided to mention Mr. Fury's name. The four of us, the 5 of us were sitting up here and we took that vote. You two guys voted no. I don't have a problem with that, okay? 3 of us and another councilman that's no longer here voted yes. It passed, okay? And now I don't see how it's so easy to just go out there and throw a vote and say, let's throw away 500,000 because I've changed my mind.
Well, and to actually vote for a more dangerous intersection, I mean,
Right.
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
the whole issue. You
It
know,
is
when
more
we're talking
dangerous.
about safety of
Or,
our residents, you're
traditional
creating a
ones.
more
There's
dangerous
studies.
intersection. You're
That's
creating a
your
5-lane.
opinion, Mayor. The statistics
not-
that
Not
I
an
just came
opinion.
out
Your
with.
statistics don't go with what
Statistics don't
ODOT's
mean anything.
saying.
Well, I'm going off what ODOT's saying. What I'm going off is
No.
raw data that happened in our city.
And that
This is
data
what has
is
occurred in
what
our city for
Amy
the last
has,
5
Amy
years.
has that data and has reviewed it, and it's not coming up with what you're finding.
You have no data on a 5-lane intersection there, okay? You don't.
telling you
You
what-
don't, you
what-
don't have any data on a 5-lane intersection there. That's the difference, is you're creating a 5-lane intersection there. It's going from a 3-lane to a 5-lane. That's a significant difference in the way that traffic is going to react and move through that intersection past those 2 developments. And you don't care about that. That's the problem. all right? They'll be doing speeds that, I
How can
mean,
they do that? There's a light 120 yards away. 120 yards.
That was
Lisa
there-
Lane-
that was there when you
No,
bought it.
it wasn't there when
Yes,
the
it-
original study was.
yes, it
absolutely
was,
there
Bill.
out there.
and
Yes,
I've
it
shared
was.
with you
I
that
was in
all
that
of the
room.
plans, all of the plans in coordination with Solon, okay, has been presented to them, and they've approved them, okay? This is,
There's that.
you know,
No,
it's.
we
It was
haven't,
there.
we have had that discussion, and I've told you they haven't approved them. That they have no, that
Who,
they,
who are you talking to?
I'm talking to a council person
Who?
over there.
Who are you talking
What's
to?
the difference? What
Nobody
difference
is,
does it
well,
make?
I would
Well,
think you want to
sorry,
talk to
say the name,
somebody
it doesn't
in the,
matter.
in
They're
the
all- it's all
department.
public record.
in their
Who are you
engineering
talking to?
department.
You don't want to admit it?
Did you talk to the mayor like we've been talking about for 6 months?
We've talked, I've talked to Amy, and
Right,
Amy
you
has
haven't-
spent time talking to their engineers. They have approved, okay,
We
this
can't get
intersection.
them to
So you-
change,
wait a
in
minute,
3
wait
years,
a minute,
you
back
haven't
up.
been able
So
to get them to change
Who's the
the
councilman?
timing.
Who is the councilman you're talking to? I'm gonna talk to him. Who is it?
I'll be happy to share that after the meeting.
Why? Why not share it public?
Have you talked to their mayor yet?
It doesn't matter who I've talked
Okay,
to. You're
so
the one
for
who's
six-
saying you've talked to people.
Fine.
You've talked to people, and you're saying it's not approved. I wanna talk, who are you talking
We
to?
can have this like all night
Okay.
long.
I don't want to,
Well,
I
I
don't
don't
want to vote on
understand
it.
how you could bring up
So-
something.
So
major.
Mr. Fury's making up
We're gonna-
stuff now.
We're gonna call the question.
Hang
Roll
on.
call, please.
David has,
Excuse me.
Mr.
Yeah,
Minister.
Just, Mr. Sorese, one question. I'm just trying to clarify from a procedural standpoint. Again, what was the motion, Mr. Fury? Was it?
The motion was that we change the intersection at Ethan's Green and Meadowood and 91 and Darrow to a traditional intersection instead of the proposed roundabout. And when we made the decision to put the roundabout in, it was done by motion at a meeting. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't be able to do it by motion at this meeting. In fact, we voted on that, by the way, multiple times until it became a roundabout. It wasn't one vote and done. It was originally voted for a traditional intersection and then was brought up again to be changed.
And
How-
we
How
voted
did you
to
vote on
change.
those, Bill?
I
Yeah.
voted on the roundabout, and I think
Yes,
I was
you
wrong.
voted
because I
yes on
didn't
both?
take it didn't take into account the people that lived in Meadowood who I've heard talk, although you say you didn't hear them. And I also take into account the Lisa Lane, which was not presented at the time
Yes,
that
it
we were
was.
discussing that.
Mr. Maestros, did that answer your question?
I was trying to figure out, Mr. Fury, you said that the motion is to reverse a previously made motion. It was my understanding that that we passed legislation to move forward with the plans and specifications on file with ODOT. Now,
The
And
decision
that-
to
and
do
that's what
that
showed
was-
it.
that was- The decision to go with a roundabout was made by a motion. I don't know I can't tell
Okay.
you that that's how it was done in the beginning. You're telling me that a
you're
motion-
making the motion, I'm assuming you did the research. I just don't know. It's my recollection that we passed legislation to go forward with the plans and specs. We can't overturn legislation from 2-3 years ago by motion. If you're saying it's by motion, do you know when
I'd have
that
to
was?
research that.
I have no reason to doubt you. I just, we need to make some basis. You can't, I'm looking at our code, okay, 111.
In fact, it was a
10.
summer meeting, it was in August of probably 2012.
I'm just looking at our code 11110 of whether or not, the basis for a motion. I mean, you're gonna have a difficulty overturning a past legislation, an ordinance by way of a motion. But if you're saying you're overturning a motion by way of a motion, we go ahead and do that. But August of 2012?
I have a question. If this is such an important thing, and we always say that we want to be visible with the residents, why wouldn't it be something, a legislation that we would talk about in front of everybody versus at the end of a meeting with no one here?
The challenge is, Joanne, is that every time we talk about this, we get told we got lots of time to change it, or that we're not even gonna entertain the idea. So, I know that that's how some of the others feel here. And for a year, there's been a survey that's been sitting there waiting to go, and it was wait till it's open, and then wait till 6 months later, and then don't do it at all ever.
Oh,
And
wow.
I still have residents that talk to me, some are here, that talk to me about how dangerous they feel and how uncomfortable they are. When I went to Mr. Roden's neighborhood in Meadowood,
Before the roundabout was installed.
That was when you were running for election, not when you
Yeah.
were sitting there talking about.
I
Before.
still talk to people and tell me they don't like the roundabout at 91 in Glenwood, and they sure don't want one at 91 in Meadowood. And guys, I'm on the other side of the city, and it's the people that are around me and live in my ward and my neighbors that don't like it. So,
Well, they're not always using it, like the people that,
Well,
my
let's talk
ward,
about
that
it.
are using it.
We're not getting
and
anywhere
not
here,
complaining.
so I'll tell you what, I will rescind my motion.
No, I don't think
I
we
will
should.
get with Mr. Maestros and make sure that we do it legally, so if it's done once, it's done, and I will bring it back for the next meeting.
Well, I'd like to have a update from Amy and anything that she knows from what ODOT's reviews are of the meeting.
Go ahead.
forward. And I think we should, if you do it with a motion and it's not that, then let's pass.
Joanne, do you want to finish what you were saying?
What?
She was speaking. If you want to speak, finish what you were saying. Try
Well, I
not to
just think that we
interrupt
should have an update from Amy and an update from ODOT on how it's functioning and why they feel that we need to have the second one, if they still feel we need to have the second one. And then my other understanding is that the same consultants and engineers that we used are now being used by Solon for traffic control, and I'm not sure how that all ties together, but I would think that's so everything all flows together. They're using the same consultants.
I
So-
believe Mr. Fury just made a motion to rescind it. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion on that? This will take away the motion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
No.
Motion passes 6-1.
That's all I had this evening.
Thanks. Ms. McFerrin, any last comments?
No, thank you.
Mr. Steele? Thank you.
No, I have nothing to say.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe?
No, I have nothing this evening.
I just wanted to publicly thank our administrative assistant, Shannon, for all the work she does for us, and which is a lot, as you can see, if you watched the last 10 minutes. So thank you, Shannon, and we all appreciate your work, and that's from all of council. And I think that's it, right?
Are we going to go through the
what?
last words?
We did that,
Oh, did I say anything? No, you didn't. Oh, that was
Yeah, you
before.
voted.
Darn, I need to say something.
We have no,
I need-
we have
I
no.
have I have something to say.
Mayor, do you have a last comment?
No, nothing further this evening.
Mr. Maestro?
Just real quick, council. You all probably have in front of you a copy of a petition that was circulated. I just want to give you a heads up of what that is. This was a petition submitted to the city today by the first two people that signed it, Richard and Kimberly Jordan. I had the privilege of talking to them today when they brought this in. They wanted to present it to council. They weren't sure of the mechanics. They were told by somebody in the building department to present a petition. They went around their neighborhood and got this. I didn't want to not give that the attention it deserves, but and that's why it's here, but really it belongs in front of the building department. I think what they're asking for is very legitimate. They're asking for an amendment to the existing tree ordinances based upon the size of their lots in their neighborhood, and I think the majority of the homeowners there are on board with this. So I just wanted to let you know that's what it's there for, that's why it's there.
So what'll the follow-up be, do you know?
Follow-up's going to be, we're going to talk to the building department, we're going to talk to the enforcement, see if it makes sense. We're going to have our city arborist look to see if he's in agreement with it. If it is, we might be bringing something to council in the very near future, looking to amend that tree ordinance. So,
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, thank you.
At that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.